So welcome everybody. Thank you all for joining us this evening. This is our second public workshop that we're hosting. We are discussing the modality of Reiki this evening. I have my three beautiful panelists joining me this evening. I've got Suzanne, I've got Anna TINGEN-LEWIS, and I've got Gina GATLIN. I'm going to give each panelist a couple of minutes to just introduce themselves, chat a bit about what they do, and just give a little bit of a brief overview of their specific type of Reiki modality. Sorry, I'm just letting people in. All right, so Suzanne, I'm going to start with you. If you'll pop on and just unmute yourself and just give a couple of minutes just to introduce yourself, tell us who you are, what you're all about, what you do. Yeah, let's get to know you a bit better.
Okay, well, thank you for having me. As she said, my name is Suzanne, and I am the owner of 4 Balanced PAWS, I'm a holistic practitioner for animals. I offer Reiki for all animals. I offer canine massage, cold laser therapy, and craniosacral therapy for canines. And I am also a student of Western Herbalism for the past 9 years, specializing in canine herbalism. And I've studied with Rita Hogan in Oregon with that. So we make a lot of our own remedies here at the house for everybody. I've been working with animals since 2004. I had a pet sitting business in St. Petersburg, Florida for 13 years. It was one of the largest pet sitting companies in the state, actually. In 2000 and say around 14, I had a dog that became ill and started me on my road to holistic healing. He was given about 6 months to live, and I wasn't going to deal with that. So that's when I got my canine massage certification. And there I met somebody that was doing healing touch for animals. So I actually became a healing touch for animals practitioner, which was my first delve into energy work. And I love the response of the dogs, although the healing touch for me really wasn't what I wanted to do at the time. It worked good with the massage, but not so much with others, like trauma or emotional issues. So when we moved to Taylor's in 2017, and that's where I started my Reiki journey. And I first became an animal Reiki practitioner, and it was very similar to people Reiki. I became a people Reiki practitioner, master teacher in 2019. And then still wasn't clicking for me. So I found this, it's called Let the Animals Lead method of Reiki. And it's a more meditative, intuitive type of Reiki. It can be done totally hands-off. You can work with wild animals, with traumatized animals. You can work in shelters with large groups of animals. It's really a great practice to have.
That is amazing. That is so cool. I love that you're on the panel. You're last minute switch up from Angela Lewis, who was originally on the panel. But I love the fact that you're joining us tonight, because you bring such a unique perspective to the realm of Reiki. I mean, I'm no stranger to the modality. I've always known that it can be used with animals. You can use Reiki in your food. You can use Reiki in your plants. But I love that we've got a practitioner that's like, yeah, I'm all for the animals. Like, I'm here for it.
Oh yeah, it's a very interesting practice, and it's really deepened my Reiki practice to a level I don't know as I ever would have gotten, or maybe it would have taken me a lot longer to get to if I just worked with people or just did like a traditional hands-on Reiki type of a treatment.
That makes sense. I love that. Anna, do you wanna take a couple of minutes and introduce yourself?
Yes, please. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Suzanne, that was an amazing history to hear. I love hearing about animal Reiki. I'm excited about connecting with you more. But a little bit about me. I own Crystal and Clover. I offer individual sessions, group sessions, and I also teach Reiki. And I focus on teaching people how to reconnect with their intuition, listen to their body's language, and teaching people tools to manage their own energy hygiene at home. And Tam, do you want to go into a little bit how I got into it as well? Yeah. Okay. So I'm 36 now, but back in my really early 20s, I started just naturally gravitating towards the healing arts, and I got really interested in attending like spiritual fairs and that sort of thing. And that's where I was introduced to a wide variety of healing modalities. And in 2012, actually, I was going through what felt like a spontaneous Kundalini activation that honestly, the only way I can describe it is what I think hysteria was like in the Victorian era. My energy was all over the place, and I needed tools to help me manage my own energy and feel better. So that's when I first started getting trained in Reiki, was in 2012. And then it started becoming a part of my lifestyle, and yoga and crystals and herbalism and everything. But then life kind of moved on. But in 2019, I had just graduated from dental hygiene school and I was practicing. And 6 months later, I had an overuse injury, had gone through steroid shots and was facing surgery. And I was like, I am not going to get surgery. Like, that does not feel right to me at all. And so the pandemic had just hit. I had opportunities to be at home more, but my hand wasn't healing. And that's why I was like, I need more than just rest. Like, I really need Reiki again. And so that's when I started bringing it back into my lifestyle full force. And so I sought out Reiki training again, and then it became my medicine. I have never had to get surgery. My hand is completely healed. And to me, that is what has balanced me more than anything else. And so that's how I got into Reiki and started Crystal and Clover.
I love
Excited to be here.
that. I love that. I love your story so much. That you've taken a personal experience is what's brought you to your practice. You know,
Yeah.
you're not just a run of the mill like, hey, I'm gonna go and do Reiki like everyone else. You're like, this has had a profound effect on me, and I want to have
Yeah.
that profound effect for other people as well. I think that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Reiki is first and foremost for self-healing.
I love that. Thanks,
Thank
Anna.
you.
Gina, do you want to introduce yourself? Tell us a bit more about you.
Yes. Oh, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me. My name is Gina. I own Quantum Wellness Co. Quantum Wellness Co. I feel like is kind of an evolution of my own personal healing journey, and it's just kind of evolved with me. I was originally trained in Usui, Reiki, and then I kind of dove a little bit deeper and went down the Holy Fire 3 Reiki path. And then I kind of, after learning different modalities, I kind of created my own, what I like to say is my own mishmash of a lot of different healing techniques that I think a lot of us do, right? As healers, we are creators by nature. So my story, my background is back in 2019, my father passed away. And I had been kind of in the spiritual community before. I grew up in Greenville, South Carolina. So I was born and raised here. And my background, I was raised Southern Baptist, right? So I lost my father, and I was looking for healing for myself. And there was this gigantic hole in my life that I was just looking to fill. And so I was reaching out. I returned back to Reiki, which I had learned, years prior, but I returned back to Reiki. And then I sought out actually a medium to help me contact my father, because I missed him so much. I was, grasping at any straw I could just to be able to contact him again. I just missed him so much. He's my best friend. And then I actually trained under a medium that I met, and I started developing my own mediumship abilities and psychic abilities. And so my Reiki healing kind of incorporates all of that. It kind of incorporates our regular hands-on practice of Reiki, as well as I channel messages from loved ones, from higher self, all of those things. And then in addition to that, I also have learned and grown over time and realized that blockages sometimes manifest in the body due to programs, due to anything happening around us, right? Like all of our external influences. So when I work to heal my, what I would call religious trauma, when I worked to heal that, I realized that there were a lot of clients of mine that were having the same thing, right? The same experience. And so I've actually kind of broadened Reiki out into coaching and doing more like spiritual life coaching and reconnecting to the self, reconnecting to the body through people who are burnt out and just looking for healing. So yeah, that's my story.
I love that. I love that. And again, it's that personal experience that's brought you to the path of being a healer for other people. In the years that I've worked as a healing practitioner, I've always found that that's so important, that you do your best work when you've done the work for yourself already. And I love that everyone on the panel here they've done that work for themselves. They haven't just gone the certification and been like, cool, I do Reiki now. There's actual work that's gone into it. I think that's really beautiful. So let's get into some questions and let's break Reiki down a bit more. So I'm going to ask each of you your individual journeys. You've chatted about them a little bit, about what's already brought you to Reiki. So chat to me a little bit about what keeps you in Reiki, what keeps you being a Reiki practitioner. Gina, I'm gonna start with you.
Yeah, thanks. So what keeps me as a Reiki practitioner is knowing that for myself, with every client that I have the opportunity to hold space for, I also grow myself, right? So I increase my capacity to hold space for, not just hold space for other people, but my own capacity for resiliency and for my own healing work. So that's what keeps me in the practice. What keeps me in the practice is knowing that I have 3-year-old twin girls, and I'm able to use Reiki with them. I'm able to use it with my husband. Just like Anna said, she was able to use it on herself. I think that feels like that resonates with me. Also, I feel like I'm able to tap into that whenever I feel I'm starting to feel run down physically, and reconnecting. Yeah, all of those dots within help me stay open.
I love that. So I mean, it's the work is what just keeps bringing you back to it. That's just the love and the passion, that constantly seeing what impact it's having for yourself. And it's almost like that beautiful symbiosis that goes on between you and the person that you're working with as well. That I definitely get and understand. I don't think we ever work with a client at any stage that we don't resonate with it some way, where they don't say something. It's like, yeah, I've been there. I hear you. I feel you. That's beautiful. Anna, and for you, what keeps you being a Reiki practitioner?
It's such a good question. And honestly, what it is I feel like I can't survive without it.
I love that.
To me, it's like, it's my oxygen tank. And when I do Reiki for myself, or even for others, like giving Reiki to others, I receive in that as well. Or when I give to myself, like showing up for it when I don't have a session for myself. What I mean by that is like doing Reiki for myself daily, or giving a session to others. Like, that's what makes me feel like, oh, I'm grounded. Ooh, I'm here. Oh, I can breathe. Oh, I feel that love. Oh, I'm expanding. When I don't have that, right? So
Yes.
that's what it is. It's my medicine. It's my medicine. That's why I show up. It's my medicine.
I love that. Again, it's that symbiotic relationship of, I'm not just helping other people, but I'm helping myself at the same time.
Yeah.
And I mean, I suppose constantly channeling that energy on a regular basis, like you're going to get a fix from it each time.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And for you, Suzanne, what keeps you being a Reiki practitioner?
Well, once I established my self daily practice, it is just huge for me to have that every day. I mean, if I miss a day, it is like my day is like not going to go well at all. But also when I work with an animal, they take me someplace and show me things that are just so beautiful. and so loving and so peaceful that it just really opens my heart so much. I can't even explain it to you. It's almost overwhelming to talk about it. You know, it's yeah, it's such a beautiful experience, and I learn so much. They teach me so much. I mean, every session, the animals have so much to teach.
I love that. I love that so much. I've got goosebumps as you're talking. It's beautiful. You know, and again, it's that same thing of that symbiotic relationship. But obviously, for you, that relationship looks different. You know, your communication is different, and your I suppose, I mean, from when I've chatted to a lot of animal communicators, they all talk about that telepathic connection between you and the animal. So you're connecting like that constantly with them on that telepathic level. So it's like you're living in a different space as well.
It is a similar, I guess it is similar. Now, I never say I'm an animal communicator, although animals, they show me things. I just think that's the way they you know, they need to communicate things with you while you're doing the session. But I never say that, like, I would never go to somebody and say, like, I can do animal communication. I don't ever do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, but they do. They show me things. It's very interesting. Just a very beautiful, beautiful experience.
I can believe that. I love how each three of you have explained Reiki as this is my fix. This is my medicine. I need this. I can't function without it. So it's your practice and your modality that you give to others. That's an actual practice for yourself personally as well. And I think that just makes you an amazing practitioner as well. That it really amplifies for me just the type of practitioners that you are, that you literally live and breathe what it is that you're doing. It's a practice for you. And I think that that's so important when we're doing spiritual based modalities, that it is a practice for the practitioner. All right. Let's see, let's have a poke around your unique forms of Reiki. So you each practice differently. I mean, Suzanne, you're very diverse on the panel tonight, which I love. So just unpack for me a little bit more about what your specific type of Reiki looks like, and also what it's called. Just so if we have people watching this and they don't know enough about Reiki to know that there are different types, just to give some names and labels just to help them out. Suzanne, I'll go with you first.
Okay, so the type of, I guess it's a type of Reiki. It's called Let Animals Lead, and it was originated with a woman called Kathleen Prasad. She's out in California. And I didn't study with her, but I studied with one of her people, is who I studied with. And so an animal Reiki session is a meditation. So you're creating a safe space. You are creating a space that's just love and peace. Now, a lot of times I'm working with animals that have traumas, or they have issues that owners want me to work with, and so when you go into an animal Reiki session, I go in with, I don't even really want to know what they want to deal with. That's a better session for me, because I want to go in there with the perception that they are perfect the way they are, that there is nothing wrong with them, they are safe and they are loved, and create a space, a sacred space for them to be in where they feel safe. And that's really, yeah.
That's beautiful.
Amazing. I mean, and there's most animals, and I always ask permission at the start of a session with an animal. And I tell them, it's like, you can join me in this, you know, sharing of love and light. You can take what you want. You can take a little bit. You can take nothing at all. Whatever it is you need, you take what you need from the session. And typically, sometimes some animals are very skeptical in the beginning, but that's very rare. Mostly they're just like, let's go, let's do it. And I never touch an animal. I like to do distance sessions with animals, but if I do an in-person session with an animal, I never touch them unless they initiate the touch. So
I love
there's no
that.
hand positions. There's no like, going through that whole thing. It's all what they need, what they want, what they ask for.
That's beautiful. I mean, that's just good ethics at the end of the day. You're still working with a form of sentient being. And I mean, the other panelists would probably say the same thing, that they would do that with their clients that they were seeing. So whether your client's got 2 legs or 4, you're still going to say, hey, is it okay for me to do what I'm doing?
Right.
So I love that you've pointed that out.
Yes. Yes. Because a lot of times people forget that, it's like they have a say in what goes on in their lives too. It's their life. And yeah. I don't know, I just lost my words, sorry.
You're fine.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, and you don't go in there and I don't want to fix anything. Like I said, you just want to create this peaceful, calm, and healing space so that they can heal themselves.
That's beautiful. I love that. Thanks, Suzanne. Anna, do you want to chat to us a bit more about your type of modality of Reiki, what it's called, how it works?
Sure. So technically, I'm going to say a long name and then I'm going to be like, just forget that. So it's the Usui lineage of Holy Fire 3 Karuna World Peace Reiki. Okay. What I really do is I create my own system that works for me, using that as inspiration. I treat Reiki more like a mantra practice, a meditation that allows me to enter an altered state of consciousness. And I lead through intuitive Japanese Reiki rather than, say, a standard hand position that's taught Western style. To me, that just didn't resonate with me. So for me, it's more about like, okay, let's scan the body. Let's feel like what's coming to me intuitively. Let me check into that. Let me see what the client is experiencing. Let's go through a guided visual meditation. Let's see what comes up with that. Let's describe what this energy feels like. And then like use tools to be like, oh, it feels hot. Oh, let's bring in some cool energy and like start changing it that way. I mean, there's so many tools. I know that's another question you might ask, so I'm going to save that for now. But that's really the way I approach things in a short, concise way. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thanks, Anna.
Thank you.
Gina.
Yeah, so I actually am trained in the exact same modality that Anna is trained in. The Usui Holy Fire 3 Karuna Reiki Master is my title. And then again, you can take that and throw it away because I like to get to know my clients first and foremost and figure out where in their life it is that they feel stuck and where it is that they feel like they are being led to explore. So I first let them lead with, I feel this, I feel that. And then we just kind of intuitively, I scan the body and I just go wherever I'm led. And I typically see things in shapes and colors, and I'm clairvoyant. So I'll get pictures and sometimes messages, and then that will lead me through the body. So sometimes messages come from, I know I touched on this a little bit, but come from past loved ones, ancestors, you from the future, higher self, all of these messages, right? And sometimes it is things that my client already knows about themselves. But when I am guiding them, they're like, oh, this is, I remember. And so it's almost like I just allow people the space to remember who they are. And I think that that's probably just a basic way to describe it.
So I'm gonna touch on what you've just said there a little bit. In most healing modalities, and most healing practitioners will say the same thing, that the healing practitioner is not actually doing any work. You're literally holding the space for that person to do the work that they already know how to do. Does that kind of touch on what it is that you're saying there? Would you say that's?
Yeah, so I am a 100% channel always, and I am a channel for whatever needs to come through, whether that be healing with Reiki, whether that be messages from wherever, whether that be just an interpreter of your own body's wisdom. I think that that is just as long as I am a clear channel and I'm open and honest and allow things to just flow, then the client is always getting exactly what they need, right? And it takes me out of it, and it allows me to just be clear in what I'm offering and the space that I'm holding.
Beautiful. So I'm gonna keep you up, because the next question we're gonna go to, because you're kind of flowing into that already so nicely, is working with other modalities that you partner with your Reiki. So you've chatted a bit about your clairvoyance. You also mentioned earlier before we started that you're a medium, which I love. I see you. So chat to me a bit more about the different modalities that you're bringing into your Reiki session and what that session would actually look like, blending them all together.
Yeah, so a typical Reiki session, the way that I was trained was a client would lie down on a table, and maybe their eyes would be closed, but I'll start off a session typically with I'm also a quantum healing practitioner, so a deep meditative state. So I allow my clients the space, the time to down regulate their nervous system and be able to start at a baseline. So when I start bringing in other modalities, not only am I clear, but they're clear too. So when I am scanning the body, I am asking anyone or anything or whatever that is for the client's best and highest good, right? So I have a lot of clients. If I am doing a mediumship session, it's going to look like a mediumship session. But in this case, I am asking for anything that pertains to this client's healing on this day at this time. So I'm not going in and looking for particular messages to come through. I am just asking, is there something, if Anna was on my table, is there something that Anna needs to know right here, right now, that could benefit her in this session, right? So it's not scattered energy. It feels very, very channeled, very fluid. And then I use singing bowls, I use chimes, I use just to clear the space. So when I bring up stuff in sessions, sometimes it gets a little cloudy depending on where I'm working with. So when I bring up stuff, I like to clear it periodically with bowls, with chimes, with just different instruments. And then at the end of my sessions, I always end with a sound healing session, just so that, again, we can down regulate, clear the space, clear the air, and make sure that everything is just flowing good.
Okay, beautiful. So you're working with
Yeah.
a combination of sound healing, which, I mean, that would fit with Reiki perfectly, because it's all different frequency medicines essentially. You're bringing in the quantum wellness. I love that there's meditation involved, and then you're tapping into that intuitive natural gift that you've got of, I'm a medium, I'm a channel, so I can pick up other messages as well. I think you package what you do so beautifully, and you've tied your modalities up together really beautifully. Thanks, Gina.
Thanks.
Anna, tell me a bit more about your blend of modalities. I know you were going to touch on it a second ago, and you're like, no, I'll wait.
Yes. So if something has been helpful for me in the past, I bring it in. So there's a wide variety of tools I use, from crystal and sound healing to breath work to even joyful movement and shaking to regulate the nervous system. My biggest extra modality that I bring in is actually integral eye movement technique, which is an amazing biohack that basically just tells the brain to do what it's meant to do and gets you out of stuck loops. So by holding certain memories or emotions or even parts of our identity that may be why someone's in there today or in that session, I'm going to bring closer to the computer because you can see me. They hold this in their mind and then take them through certain eye movements. And what this does is it basically just it opens the door to the loop and that they're stuck in, and allows the brain to start processing things where we may feel like we're stuck in the past, reliving an experience over and over and over again. It's like, oh no, okay, I'm here. Oh, that's no longer like a 10 to me. this feels like a 2. It doesn't really bother me anymore. And so it really teaches us how we learn to be a certain way or feel a certain way. And it's an amazing tool that works incredibly fast and allows people to dive deeper into their subconscious to bring into new ways of being that help them, that are more productive, which is a really cool thing. Yeah.
That's a really fascinating
Mhm.
modality. I haven't heard of that before. And I
Yeah.
mean, I can intellectualize how that would make sense on a couple of levels. I mean, firstly, the eyes are the window to the soul,
Mhm.
and also you're readjusting your perception of reality. You're literally resetting what it is that you're looking at.
Yeah. Sometimes you'll see people and they won't look at a certain area and you're like,
Mm.
oh, okay, let's go massage that. And one of the theories I have too is, especially the side to side, it stimulates the vagus nerve, and the vagus nerve stimulates the parasympathetic, which is our rest digest system. And when you
Mhm.
stimulate that, you're obviously telling the people, the body, like, okay, let's move out of fight or flight, let's move back into rest digest. And if you've ever been into traditional talk therapy, it can be likened to EMDR in that it uses eye movements, but that's the only similarity. It's just an eye movement technique to reset the system. Really cool.
Awesome. I love that. Thank you. I've learned something new tonight. Yay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Anna.
Thank you.
Suzanne, do you want to chat to us a bit about the different modalities that you work with? I mean, obviously, a animal practitioner, specifically what you do, but you have mentioned that you do work with animals and their humans as well at the same time. So if you could also unpack what those kind of sessions would look like, that would be awesome.
Well, typically, if I do an in-person Reiki session with an animal, I always offer the companion, the person, a mini Reiki session so that they can experience some of the relaxation. You would not believe how many people will get Reiki for their animal and have never had a Reiki session. So it's like I give them a little taste of that, but it helps them just relax and get a little feel for it. When I do the distance sessions, I will incorporate crystals with the work, but I don't always use crystals in person sessions with animals just because things could happen. They could eat them. I mean,
Yes.
because I don't, the animal, if I'm we don't confine the animals. They're free to walk around, do what they want during a Reiki session. So I don't like to have to pay attention to what that is. But I also will use tuning forks to clear the energy and clear the air, clear the energy, and just produce some, a little more calm over the body at the end of the session.
Okay, so all three of you actually bring in some kind of element of sound healing into your Reiki, which I mean it makes complete sense. They're both frequency based modalities, so I love that they tie in really well. So I want to unpack a little bit of where you said, Suzanne, that how many people will come and have Reiki for their animals, but they've never had Reiki for themselves. Why do you think that is?
So it's been actually a really hard sell, the animal Reiki, is
Mm-hmm.
know if it's this area or if it's just in general or what. So it's been a bit of a hard sell. So a lot of the people that contact me for Reiki, and it's starting to change a little bit now, but it was mostly animals. It was hospice. It was palliative care. It was nobody could help this dog. So this was like a last resort. So that's pretty much what I was for a lot of people, was a last resort to help their animal to do whatever they wanted it to happen.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
That's got to be hard on the heart. I mean, I'm an absolute animal softie. I would honestly struggle to work in that space purely because I think my heart would just explode.
No, it's I think in a way, I mean, I'm one of those kind of empaths that if somebody's crying, I will just start crying. I'm just like that. So yes, I understand where that comes from. But as I've done this work, it's almost been like a calling for me.
I got that. And that
to just create that safe and calm space to help them transition, because it's, I find for most animals, they're ready to go, but they hang on because the people don't want them to.
Yeah, yeah, yes, I definitely hear that. Yeah, we have a lot more attachments than animals have, for sure. Yeah.
And yeah, so it's a little bit of helping the animals feel comfortable with the decision that they are ready to make, and for the people that live with them to be comfortable to make a decision, whatever that decision is.
I've got you. So it's almost a little bit, I mean, and next month we're going to be chatting about death doulas. So in a small way, it's almost like you're doing a death doula work but for animals specifically.
Yes. Yeah, I guess it is something like that. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Oh, I love that. That's amazing. And I mean, my mentor back in South Africa, she would often chat to me about different animals that would just arrive on her doorstep and say, you know, hey, I've got this broken, whatever, can you fix it for me? And a lot of them would say, hey, I'm done. Can you just help ease me onto the other side? So I do understand that that's a thing that the animal kingdom does do. They'll come to us and say, hey, can you just help me with this?
We had a couple months ago, there was a raccoon that showed up, and we live on a golf course. I can see the golf. There's a lot of trees. It's very wooded here. This raccoon showed up in the morning out in the sun on the golf course and would not leave the back of my house until somebody came to get it. And I think he was sent there because he knew I would do Reiki on him all day long. Which I did.
Oh. Do you get a couple of randoms that arrive and they're like, hi, I know you, can you do some work for me?
You know, I've had a few things, the raccoon, and then we've had some injured birds show up. Pretty much in the back, we don't get too many because there's 5 dogs live here. So
yeah. They want to come and see you. It's just difficult to get there.
Yes, exactly.
I love that. All right. So let's chat a little bit more about the different tools that you use. So we've obviously, I know the 3 of you have all mentioned you use different types of sound healing. I believe 2 of you have mentioned you use crystals. What other tools do you usually use in a session? What would be common in your therapy room? Suzanne, I'll let you go first.
So, I mean, I don't use a lot of other things. I mean, of course, there's always sage or some sort of incense. I will have candles, especially for distance sessions or non-animal sessions, I will use candles. Music is always going, but pretty much it's a pretty simple experience.
I got you. And also because you don't want them eating anything.
Exactly.
Anna, what does your therapy room look like? What tools do you usually have?
Good question. I feel like I'm like, oh, how do I elaborate on this more? But one thing I didn't mention earlier is, and I'm in my room right now, so I'll actually show you. Let's go on a little tour, everyone.
Yeah.
So I actually have quite a bit of oracle cards. And so there will often be times where I feel like I'm guided to use those intuitively. I always have some typically good little scents going on, essential oils or incense in the room to make it extra sensory. I typically play animal soundtracks. So I have like, even right now, a bird theme going on. It can be really calming. Always the theme of nature, whether it be here or in my decorations, always plants. Plants are just healing. Nature is healing. Nature is medicine, y'all.
It is.
Like, what else? Is there anything else you want to see in my room? I don't know what else to share with you other than the fact that I have tuning forks and those sorts of things. Oh,
Okay.
one more thing.
Yeah.
I typically cover what I call energy hygiene with people. There's lots of things I cover. I teach people how to listen to their own intuition and how to take care of their own energy hygiene, which is how to release energy that isn't yours, call back energy that yours, and call back energy that is yours, and connect with your body, your higher self, so you can lead with your yeses. And so that's a big part of what I do. So giving out little tools like this that have certain intentional statements on them and teaching people tools, it's more non-physical things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you. And I love that. I love that energy hygiene, because I think so many people are so unaware of the fact that there's a hygiene aspect to your energy, the people you hang around with, the music you listen to, the things that you watch, the spaces that you go to, the places that you shop. All those things have an impact on how healthy your energy is going to be. So I love that you've touched on that subject a bit, because I would imagine that within the realm of Reiki, because you're working very much within that energetic field, that hygiene is going to be a big thing.
Exactly.
How do you as a Reiki practitioner keep your energetic hygiene good and clean after a session?
Good question. So in Reiki, we're taught something called kinyoku, which is dry bathing, which looks a little something like this, where you would wipe your body, and the intention is that you're releasing any energy that isn't yours. Girl, that was not enough for me. Let me just be honest with you. I was like, ha ha ha, ha, that's supposed to do it? I don't think so. So that's why I created energy hygiene, which are these certain statements like, I release any energy that is not of my own or not of the highest good. And my thought was, okay, good. That intentional statement feels like it actually does something. You can wipe your body with it or not, right? You could have no arms and still do this. And then I was like, but if I'm releasing, that means I've picked up on some people's energy. But that means I've probably given away my energy too. So then it was like, okay, well, I call myself back home to myself, and I call in all energy of the highest good. And then it's like, okay, good. Released, call in. And then it's about connecting with your body, your higher self, and your guides to get yourself in that, okay, my most natural state of being is one with my body, one with my inner wisdom. That's how I take care of my own energy hygiene, is literally energy hygiene. I created it for myself. And then it's always self Reiki for myself as well, and for the room. Um, that's the big thing there, because I often tell people energy hygiene is just as important as your physical hygiene. Because if you imagine you go around and you shake 100 people's hands, and by number 3, you're kind of like, I want to wash my hands. It's not that other people are gross. It's not that something's wrong. It's just, it's not yours. It's just not
Yes.
yours. And we can physically go and wash our hands and, oh, okay, now I feel better. But what about our energy body? Because like you said, we're not just consuming food or a drink, we're consuming music, we're consuming all the things that are around us at all times. We just pick up like little sponges, or at least as an empath, as someone who's sensitive, most people do, whether they're aware of it or not. And we need tools to be able to help ourselves take care of that for ourselves at home.
100%. I love
Yeah,
that. I love that you've taken something that you've created for yourself and you're like, yeah, this works for me, so I'm going to do this for other people. Yes,
exactly. It's an amazing tool.
it is. It's beautiful. I love that. Gina, what tools do you bring into your sessions?
Yeah, so I think we covered it a little bit earlier. Singing bowls, chimes, things like that, incense, all the typical things. But I also have a that I didn't touch on, was one of the things that kind of got me into like this spiritual and energy coaching, was because I was connecting with people before our session, and then when the messages came through, it was kind of a conversation. So I was having conversations with loved ones and whoever, right? I'm having conversations not just with my client, but just in general. So I typically write down any kind of what I feel like is an impactful message. And then at the end, after I write it down, I always go back and I ask either their higher self, whoever it is, I ask them if there's anything any tools that they can offer that will help the client in the future. So sometimes when I'm writing down at the bottom of the sheet that I'm writing on, it might look like homework. And that's what I tell my clients, is like, expect something probably at the end that your guides or your ancestors or someone wants you to tap into. And so I have some clients that, it's so beautiful. I have some clients that, they come to me and they say, I'm stuck. And then after the session, I say, well, your whoever it is told me that you need to start painting again. Do you paint? And they're like, wow, I haven't painted since I was in my 20s or whatever it is. And I'm like, it's that creativity they want you to bring back in. And so it kind of is like a just a reminder to them that they're, again, reconnecting with who they are, because that was things that they loved to do at some point in their life and they have gotten away from it. And I think that it's super powerful to be able to, you know, jog someone's memory like that. So I sometimes offer homework and then guided meditations, anything, you know. Homework can come in the form of telling them they need to go for a walk or connect to nature or go back to gardening or go hug a pet or whatever it is, so that they can, you know, really remember who they are. And I think that's pretty much the tools that I use, is helping people clear out the clutter, not just in their energy body, but in their mind, and allowing, you know, reminding them that they are also a channel. Like, I'm not just a channel. They are a channel. They are a channel for their highest good. And that is, that's what they're looking for anyway. That's what we're all looking for, right? Is to have a clear channel and connection to ourselves, our higher selves, universe, God, whoever you want to say, right? So yeah, I think that my stuff is also not tangible, physical things. I'm also not in my therapy room. I actually practice out of Nectar community. And so I have a table and everything there. This is my home office. So
Yeah, I've seen your space at Nectar. It's really beautiful. It's a gorgeous space that you've got then. I mean, Nectar just in general is a beautiful space. There has created something wonderful there.
Oh, I think that is probably that's a good tangible thing, is Nectar as a community, as a building, right? I feel like there's something about, I would consider it maybe a mini vortex, something in that space with the creative humans and just the people that are in there, always creating and connecting. And yeah, Sarah Ballard has done a great job there by bringing us all together.
She has, and I mean, I've worked out of there for a little bit as well, and the space that you work in becomes a form of tool as well. So, you know, it's not just physical, tangible things that you can touch and feel, like your tuning forks or your incense or your handles. You know, it's the actual space that you create. So having a therapeutic space to work out of is definitely part of the toolbox for sure. All right, I'm going to open the panel up a little bit more. I'm going to throw some questions out. So any of the panelists that want to jump in to answer, please do feel free to do so. I want to chat a bit more about the benefits of Reiki. You can obviously chat about the benefits that are specific to your modality, and then obviously Reiki as a modality as a whole has very specific types of benefits. So anyone who wants to jump in and chat a bit about the benefits that people can expect from Reiki.
Okay, so for the animals, it's a great way, especially if you have a rescue animal or an animal that has experienced a trauma or any kind of abuse or, you know, painful situation. It can really help them deal with that and move past it. So it helps them, you know, because Reiki in general is what? It's a way to create a really intense relaxation response in the body. So by allowing them to relax, they can move forward. And I think that works for people and for animals. So just, you know, I think that's the most beautiful thing about Reiki. Reiki is intelligent on its own. It's like just goes where it's needed and it does what it needs to do. So with these animals that are traumatized or, you know, been abused or whatever their situation, it can really help them move forward at a much faster pace than if they don't have it.
I've got that. That's beautiful. And chat to me a little bit about the benefits of having a co-session between a pet and its owner. What would be the benefits there between the two of them?
Well, I think that they both, at the end of a session like that, when we do the two together, is that they kind of connect on a different level afterwards, after the session. I mean, they're just in a different, they're in a different space. You know, their mind, body, soul is just in just such this beautiful space, and they can connect better. I mean, even if I do Reiki on a person, if the animal is in the room, they get benefit from that, because I can't help but create space. And I don't think any Reiki practice, you create that space, that sacred space. And then anybody that's in there will benefit from that. So
that makes a lot of sense. I mean, with distance Reiki, energy knows no bounds. It can literally travel through absolutely everything at any time or space. So that's exactly what you're saying, that if you're sitting in the space, you're going to get the effects of it. Yeah. It's like secondhand smoke, but good for you. Secondhand Reiki.
When I do Reiki for anybody, I always allow my dogs to be in any distance sessions. My animals are free to move in and out of the sessions. And I will, more times than not, have 5 dogs laying around me, just sleeping. So it's like they come in and they take what they want when they need it.
Do they know when you're going into session?
I have a space in the house that I use. And so, yes, I think they do know. That's like my sacred space. That's my space for work. And they know that when I'm down there, it's just going to be a very calm and soothing time to look forward to.
That's beautiful. If I reincarnate, I want to come back as a dog in your house. Get that secondhand Reiki.
There you go.
Gina or Anna, do you want to jump in and share a little bit more about different benefits? Yeah, Anna.
So I love how you were talking, Suzanne, about the animals. And I do Reiki shares for my students. We go to my friend's house currently, and they have some cats that never come out. But when we start doing Reiki in their basement, all of a sudden the cats start going, it feels so good. So, but to continue with that a little bit, what I love about Reiki is that it just assists the body going into a deep rest and digest state, as opposed to that fight, flight, freeze mode. And the body naturally wants to heal itself. It knows how to do this. Our bodies are so intelligent. So just by going into that deep state of rest, digest, it allows all of our bodies, when I say our bodies, I mean our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies, naturally to start healing themselves. The body knows what to do. Reiki just assists in that. And that's what I think is so cool about it.
I love that. Gina, have you got anything that you want to add?
Yeah, I'll add to that. So there's actually studies, I don't know, Andrew Huberman, anyone on the Huberman lab? Yeah, he's a neuroscientist, and he talks about non-sleep deep rest, similar to yoga nidra. So the consciousness kind of receded to the background, but being aware. So that non-sleep deep rest, I think, is very similar to what Anna is referring to. It's like your body is just, you're allowing your body time to just repair itself, your mind to just repair itself. And there's actual studies done that non-sleep deep rest, NSDR, is it rewires the brain. It increases neuroplasticity. There's actual studies that they have done, scientific studies. I live in a house with a traditional Western medicine man, and I have to come up with scientific reasons to support to support my woo-woo. So I know that there's science behind it. So I 100% agree with Anna. There's something that happens whenever our bodies are in that state of rest and digest, for sure. And I think that even just allowing ourselves, I mean, that's a whole other level of openness, right? Just allowing ourselves the time and the space to right? Everyone just lets out a big sigh, right? I think that that's so important just in general.
It is. It is. I mean, from the yoga that I teach, and I'm gonna touch on your yoga nidra, because there is actually scientific research that they've done specifically around yoga nidra, and the benefits of that. And having done a bit of energy healing work back, gosh, about 5 or 6 years ago when I used to practice, there are you creating the same space. The only difference is that in yoga nidra, the person is doing the space for themselves, whereas in Reiki, you've got the practitioner that's helping you get into that space. But yeah, there's definitely science behind it. There's some amazing articles. I believe I may have access to a couple, so I'm happy to share those when this goes into a final post. I'll share some of those articles, because yes to the science backing what it is that we do. I'm all for that. Okay. So let's chat about some success stories. We've chatted a little bit about your own personal experiences that have brought you to your practice. We've chatted about what keeps you in your practice, but let's chat about some success stories, some really beautiful moments that you've had in the time that you've been a practitioner. Yeah.
So I want to preface this by saying I am definitely a huge supporter of traditional talk therapy. Some of my biggest success stories come from those who have been in therapy for years. And more times than I can count, I've heard, Anna, oh my gosh, I've been working on this for years. And in just even just a single session, like I have made more progress today than I have in years of therapy. And I'm just like, oh, that's so cool. Like, thank you for telling me that, because it's amazing how much Reiki can just drop you down into that subconscious, that theta brainwave, where you can start listening to your inner guidance with more ease. And with especially integral eye movement technique, as I start guiding you, it's like, well, when's the first time you can remember feeling this? And then we're like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot that even happened to me. And then we start working through these past memories, and it's really cool. So I think some of my biggest success stories are from those who actually have been in therapy for many years on that side of things. Yeah.
Okay, so they're actually using Reiki as a supportive part of their toolbox. I think that that's really beautiful. I'm very pro talk therapy as well. I think it has such a beautiful space, and I think a lot of people, they just need to say like, hey, this is how I'm feeling, and to have someone to sit for 2 minutes and hear them. There's so much value in that. So I love that you're bringing in that this is a tool that you're adding to your toolbox. So yes, you can be in traditional therapy, and this is going to assist that process. I love that you've brought that up. I think that's so valuable.
Yeah, it's funny. When I first started my Reiki practice, I was like, okay, no, but I don't want to do a lot of talking. Like, don't tell me anything about yourself. Let's just get to the table. Except I found no one wanted to do that. Everyone was like, well, let me just sit and talk for 30 minutes. And so I've gotten really good. And I'm like, okay, yeah, this is really helpful. Just talking is medicine.
Yes.
And then I just help people do the deep diving of self-inquiry. And so very helpful. Yeah. An adjunct to all the different therapies.
I love that. There's such a beautiful correlation between those two therapies. I think that's amazing. And that you're willing to hold that space for that person. And then from there, I think that makes the therapy, the Reiki session so much more impactful, because both you and the person you're working with, they know what it is that you're not working towards. What are we actually doing in this session?
Yeah.
Gives you some really great direction. All right, Gina and Suzanne, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I have a lot of clients that same thing, right? They just want to talk, and so that's kind of what led me down the coaching route, the energy, and kind of just bringing that into energy healing and with the mediumship and everything. I'll just give a short story. I had a client who came in and she was like, I don't know, I just feel off. I feel really tired all the time. I don't know what's happening. And one of the messages I got was a picture of a Gordon fisherman, like with the red hat and the yellow jacket, like from the fish sticks. You know what I'm talking about? Gordon fisherman. And I get this, and I tell her, I'm like, do you know a fisherman? Does that make sense to you? And she tells me, she's like, oh my gosh, she's like, my business partner is an avid fisherman, and he is one of the conflicts that I'm having right now. It's something with him. And I know it's a hard conversation that I need to have, and it's something, that I need to work on. And her guides were just showing me that this connection, this energetic connection that she had with this person was one of the things that was making her tired. And so we worked with solar plexus, we worked with heart chakra, throat chakra, so she would have the ability to have the hard conversation. So I think it's super powerful to get to know your clients. And also when I offered that to her, she was like, wow, that would have never crossed my mind that connection was actually a drain. And so, yeah, I think that it's so special to be able to kind of shine a light on things for clients. People, again, I said this earlier, but I think people are pretty aware of what's happening in their life, but maybe not the impacts that it really has on their energy, on their mind, on their body, their physical body. So yeah, I think that's really powerful.
I think that's something that comes up for a number of people in I think most any therapeutic settings is I just wasn't aware of that. I didn't know that was a thing. I would never have thought of that before. So these sessions these spaces that you're creating for people, they're not just healing spaces, they're also self-awareness spaces. It's kind of like shining a light and putting a mirror up in front of them and saying, hey, here's a safe space for you to look at what's going on for you right now.
Yes, 100%. And I think, and again, that's kind of what's gotten me down the coaching, is because people are like, well, how do I do that? What are the tools? Do you have tools that could help me do this on my own? And, just through years of doing this type of work, we all have tools in our toolbox that we get to share with other people. And then they can reflect and are able to, do their own. I love to leave my clients curious. I like for them to leave and walk out the door just open and curious about why they do things and what's in it for them and other people, and how everything just works together. And yeah, yes, all those things.
I love that. So many people don't think to ask why. Why is this like this? Why is this like that? Where could this be coming from? And for me, in the different coaching sessions that I've worked with over the years, where people have said like, I would never have thought to ask the question why. I'm like, but why? Why have you not thought to ask the question why? It's a good question to ask.
Great question. The best question.
It is. Okay, so
and if you can't answer it, then that's its own pocket, right? Like if you can't answer the question why, like that opens up a whole can of worms. Well, then what's to that? What's behind that door? Like why can't you ask the question why? Why is that so hard?
Yes,
so, yeah,
yes. Let's
it unravels.
I love it does. I mean, any form of healing journey, it's going to be like working through onion layers. Like you've got to peel back one layer before you can get to the next. And it starts with, sometimes just, why can't you ask the question why? What's stopping you there? What's the blocks? So it sounds like both you and Anna use quite a bit of talk therapy coaching, and you're kind of bringing that into your sessions as well. Would you say that has a lot more of a therapeutic boost to your sessions? Does it definitely add a lot more value than if you just had the Reiki?
Yeah, I think for sure. Being able to work with not just the energy body, but the whole connection to self, the whole, the physical body, the energy, the mental, everything, being able to connect with people on, that's so many different levels, right? To get to experience someone else's humanity is like, and so that's why it kind of unravels for me, is just, people being seen. I think Anna said something about that too, is just sometimes people just want to talk, and sometimes people just need a witness. And I think that it's important to be able to be the witness, and sometimes you can find insight into their humanness and what's causing them energetic blocks. by what's happening around them. You know, if they're in a job that they hate, or if they have a really tough relationship with their mother, or whatever it is, and then you see that their heart chakra is blocked, or whatever it is, you know, you're able to work through it together. And that kind of just, you know, in a, I'm not a therapist by any means, but and I do think that there is value. I will echo both of you. I think there's value in talk therapy. But again, I think people just want to be seen, want to be heard, and being able to see the whole person is so important.
It is. It's and to your point, I think that's something that everybody wants, is just to be seen and acknowledged. Like, hey, I see you, I get you, I see the type of person you are, and I see the whole of you, not just this one little aspect, like your physical body or your energetic body. You've mentioned chakras quite a bit. And I mean, I know the answer to this question, but I'm sure some people watching aren't going to know the answer, so I'm going to throw it out there. Are chakras something that's very specific to Reiki, and do all Reiki practitioners work within the chakra field?
I was trained to work with hand positions in Reiki. It taps into the chakra system, but I don't think that all practitioners use the chakra system as a guide and as a basis for their Reiki. When I am scanning the body in my sessions, it lights up kind of like a Christmas tree, like a chakra Christmas tree for me. And so for me, it's a very visual, it's a visual way to be able to say, okay, well, this is where I'll go in the body, or this is where I will start sending energy and asking my questions to whomever. And it gives me a guide. So I think the chakra system for me in my Reiki helps act as a guide to other parts of the body, and to ask the questions, right? To ask the question of, you know, if I feel like I have a Christmas tree that lights up, that there's a lot of green happening in the heart, I might say something like, have you ended a relationship? Or if I have like a download or a message, have you ended a relationship? Do you have a tumultuous relationship? You know, something like that has caused heartbreak, or things like that. And so I think it's just kind of a guide for me to feel around and feel into, especially if I'm not familiar with that person. If it's a first time session, the chakra system for me is the guide to, this is who they are as a person. This is what they have seen. This is their, their programs. This is what is blocking them, you know, and that's how I use the chakra system.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, from the time where I've done the energetic healing work, I've used the chakras there, and then doing my yoga teacher training as well. It's one of the big prominent subjects that we discuss is the chakras and how they integrate. And I love how you've explained that it's like watching the Christmas tree light up. You know, it's like these little pinpoints. We don't have the game in South Africa, but you've got the game here where you got to poke the body parts. Operation, yeah, that's it. So
yes.
it's like a game of operation where it's like, boop, this is the problem here, boop, that's the problem there. I love that, and I love that you shared what it looks like for you, what that experience is actually like. So I'm actually going to ask Anna and Suzanne if they'll explain a little bit what does your session actually look like for you? What is that experience like? Anna, if you'll answer that question next.
Yeah, of course. So a lot of times I think people think being psychic or having clair psychic gifts is just about seeing. And as someone who is very intuitive, but clairvoyance isn't one of my strong suits, I think it's really important to talk about the others, like claircognizance, clear knowing, clairaudience, clear hearing, clear salience, clear smelling, or clear empathy, clear like feeling emotion. There's so many, any sense that we have and beyond, it can be used as a sense intuitively. So for me, it's more about feeling. Oh, I feel deeply. I may not be able to see color per se, but that doesn't make me any less intuitive. And so I really want to say for people out there who think, oh, I'm not clairvoyant, because that used to be me. And I'm like, oh, I can't, I was being all down on myself. And I'm like, hold on a second. That's not true. That's ego. No, that's not true. That's not true. Okay, higher self guides, teach me. And so I had to learn for myself other ways. So for me, it's more of like, I will deeply feel someone's emotions. I will feel it. But I do like this idea, like, let's say I do work with the chakra system. And let's say we go down to someone's root chakra. This happened in a session recently. And as I'll do a little guided visualization, I was like, okay, let's imagine you're walking into a room that's your root chakra. So let's just walk into this space. Imagine it like you open up all the doors and windows, letting the fresh breeze blow through, the sunshine rolling in, and then we start examining that room. And I get more clear knowings. I'll just understand that something is the way it is. And I'll be like, oh, it looks like a tornado flew through here. You're missing like 3 walls. Like you're missing structural integrity to your root chakra. And our root chakra is our stability. We need each of those rooms to be stable, but whew, if we're really missing that. So we'll be like, okay, let's bring in a construction crew. We're going to start rebuilding these walls. And then we'll be like, okay, what does this room feel like to you? Does it feel cluttered? Does it feel nice? Oh, it looks like there's some old furniture in here that isn't even yours. Let's get that scratchy, moldy furniture out in these boxes sitting in the corner covered in dust out. And we'll like visually or imagine, whatever imagination means to you, that we're cleaning up the space and rebuilding it. And then, okay, let's bring in some plants. Let's bring in some cozy furniture. And then we get that space feeling, looking, whatever that is, whatever sensation, however everyone experiences that to them, feeling good, feeling safe, feeling stable. So that's the way I primarily work with the chakras. When you're asking specifically about the chakras, yeah.
I love that. I love that. And that and I love that you've brought this up, because I mean, intuition development is one of the things that I teach. I've taught it for years. It's one of my favorite things to teach people. And the question I invariably get asked in every single class is like, how does my intuition work? Like, how do I know I'm doing it right? And it's to know that your intuition works differently for everybody. You know, you've got, I believe there's the 6 clairs, and they all work essentially similar to your physical senses, but on a different level. You know, and for you, you've got the claircognizance and you got the clairsentience, whereas Gina's got more that clairvoyance, and like, because there's the medium stuff going on, there's probably a bit of clairaudience as well, you know, downloading those messages, maybe we're hearing some stuff. So you know, everybody has the intuition talking to them in a different way. So I love that you've put that out there, that it doesn't make you any less than, it just makes you unique in the way that you work. That's it. So thank you for putting that out there.
Yeah.
Suzanne, do you want to add into the conversation?
Yeah. So, you know, when I'm working with the dogs, it's just such a different experience, because I don't get feedback that, you know, you would get by working with a person. So, you know, whether I'm in person or I do a distance session, I am typically in a pretty meditative state myself. So I am already like not really here. I'm like, I am there. And they come in and I create this space, and then they just show me. They show me what they want me to see. They bring people in, they bring other animals in. I was working with this one animal, and it was a hospice dog. And his first concern was, he kept showing me this little black dog. And when I went back and I said to the owner, it's like, he's really concerned somebody has to take care of this little black dog. And she's like, how did you know about that? Now, I didn't really know about it. I just knew he had concern for the little black dog. And, you know, and then I had another session with this dog. We were working on, it started out as thunderstorm phobias. And after the first session, I was like, is he being bullied by other dogs? And she's like, yeah, they're beating him up all the time. And I'm like, well, it's for him, it's all about his, his self-image, his, he just feels really weak. And so after our first session, she came back and said that he just would not respond to the bullies anymore. He stood up to them and would not respond to them anymore. And that kind of took their power away and gave him more power.
Oh,
so,
wow.
So it's just a different way of, you touch them in a different way. I was just like, that's pretty amazing. And he just got better and better. There was one time this is a funny thing. I was doing a session. I was supposed to do a session with him. and we're doing the session, and he's like, no, you have to do a session with my mom. She's really upset. And I'm like, yeah, but she didn't ask me to do a session. He's like, no, but you have to do a session. So I was like, okay, well, I know her and I've done Reiki with her before, so I'm sure she's going to be okay with this. So I texted her when I was done, and she's like, what time did you do that? And I told her, and she's like, I can't believe that. I was so mad when I had to go do something, and I was so mad. And then I went to lay down, and it was like, and the dog had seen her upset, and he wanted me to help her calm down. So it was like, that was just a really cool thing. But it's a very different kind of session for me, and that it is a very meditative. I'm in a pretty meditative state when I'm doing it. So I'm just, yeah.
Tapped in and tuned in.
Yeah.
I hear that. That's beautiful. And it sounds like you're I mean, the way that your intuition is talking to you, you're accessing that by just centering yourself, going into that meditative zone. And I think every practitioner will probably resonate with that kind of meditative space that they all work in. But I think the space is unique for each person as well. It feels different for each person, definitely. So let's chat a bit about I mean, if we look about the location that we're all based in, we're all in South Carolina, so there's a lot of skeptics here. Like there's the work that we do is not always smiled upon. You know, it's more like, hey, what are you doing there? So let's try and bust a couple of the misconceptions around Reiki, and let's chat a bit about common misconceptions, what Reiki is not, the things that Reiki can't do for people that a lot of people think that Reiki can do. I'm going to open that up to the panel if anybody wants to jump in and take that subject.
So as someone who has grown up in South Carolina and as a Southern Baptist, and my family is still very, very involved in that tradition, I think my greatest lessons have come from working with my own family. And so part of my tradition also is my undergrad was in religious studies. So I studied world religions. So I always knew I wanted to work with people. I just didn't know how back then. And I was like, and I'm most interested in culture. So if I can get to know someone's worldview, then I'll know how to work with them. So what I love about how all of us are here, and now Gina, you talked about your Southern Baptist background as well. I'm not sure about you, Suzanne, is that I think what's beautiful is we play this really amazing bridge, or I can just talk to myself. I can only talk to myself, right? I feel like I play a bridge for those who come from that background, who are maybe feeling a little wary of reaching into these sort of things, but they're already kind of experiencing things and they're like, I need help. And I'm like, awesome. I can speak that language. I come from that. And like with those sessions, like, honestly, I'll be honest, Jesus is one of my spirit guides, y'all. He came to me in my Reiki Master training. And so I love me some Jesus. I'll just say that. And for those people, I've never had to pull this out, but I even have oracle cards that are just Bible verses. If someone's feeling that, okay, I don't know, I'm like, we don't have to bring anything else in other than that. Like whatever's going to help you get to it, because to me, the word Reiki, it sounds intimidating because it's a foreign word, but really it just translates as spiritually guided life force energy. Another word for that from another tradition is the Holy Spirit. To me, they're one and the same. They are not separate. But at the end of the day, forget all the words because language is limiting. And so to me, it's just source energy, that pure unconditional love that animates everything, that gives you the spark in your eyes. That's what we're working with. To me, it's not about where it comes from, because it's all the same thing, but it can feel intimidating to some people. So I just try to reach people with the language that they're used to, because really at the end of the day, it's all made up. So let's just use the language that you're most comfortable with.
100%. Yes. That's, I mean, when as a professional tarot reader, growing up in South Africa, it's a very diverse country. We have a lot of different cultures, and I would work with so many different cultures. So I needed to learn to adjust my language to speak their culture and I love that you've brought that cultural side up, because that's so important. The way that we're raised is the way that we speak. That's the language that we're used to. And you and I obviously both have the same understanding that it's all the same thing at the end of the day. It's literally just different words. It's different interpretations of the same thing. And that language is so important in this place and space. And I think that that's why I asked the question of how can we kind of bust these myths and misconceptions around Reiki and language. Let me explain what Reiki is to you, but let me explain it to you in a way that you'll understand. So if you come from that Christian-based background, yeah, the Holy Spirit is actually a spot on. Like, it's the same thing because I grew up, I went to a Christian primary school, I went to church regularly, so I know that feeling from being in a church environment, that Holy Spirit. But I've also experienced that in a lot of my spiritual awakenings. I've experienced that in different sessions that I've worked with other practitioners. So it is very much, it's the same energy frequency. It's just literally different words. So I love that you've made that emphasis of language. Language is what's going to help people to understand the stuff. It makes it more normal for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Gina, Suzanne, have you got anything that you want to add to that? Some of the common myths and misconceptions and how we can bust some of those?
Yeah, sometimes, people come to me and they think that I can cure them or their animals. And I have to explain to them that that's not what Reiki does. It's for you to create a space of such relaxation that your body is able to do what it needs to do at that moment in time. And it's, sometimes hard for them to wrap their head around that. But if it's like I said, it's like with the hospice work. Some people come to me and I don't know what they think I'm going to do for this dog, but I mean, I can't make it 10 years younger. I mean, I can't take away what's wrong with it. All I can do is make it more comfortable on continue on its journey of whatever that is. So,
that's yeah, I think some people have that misconception of you're a miracle worker.
Yeah. You can just fix it, and it's like, that's really not what we do.
Yeah,
right?
that's it. You're holding space for whoever it is or whatever it is that you're working with to do what it is that it needs to do, whether that be heal and repair or, hey, I'm going to move on to the other side, like I'm done here.
Yeah.
So yeah, a miracle working is, I think, one of the biggest misconceptions, specifically around, I think, the Reiki practice as well, because it's this, well, you're going to put your hands on me and you're going to make me okay. Your hands are going to fix me. No, that's not what we're doing here. Anna, you got something to add into that?
Yeah, I love how y'all brought up this whole bit of like miracles, because I want to say, though, I do think miracles can occur.
Oh, yes.
But I do not believe that most souls are choosing to experience that. I think most souls are here to go through the healing process of learning how of self-empowerment, of healing themselves. To me, that is as much of a miracle as it is of, wow, I just felt the cancer leave my body. Both are possible. But I will say, I think most souls are here learning their soul lessons in a different way. But I do think miracles can occur through Reiki. But I'm going to be honest that I've never seen one, but I think they're possible.
Well, that's, I mean, if we had to go back to the conversation around Christianity and Jesus, he was the hands-on healer.
He was doing Reiki. Yeah,
he was
exactly.
doing Reiki. That's it. So I mean, miracles can be big or small. For someone, a miracle could literally be just, I feel so much better from that session, and I haven't felt good for months, but all of a sudden today after the session, I feel amazing. Like, for that is a miracle for them. So also the word
language.
Miracle. What does the word miracle mean for each person? That's
Yeah.
it, language, exactly. But yeah, I have seen that as quite a common misconception for energy-based practitioners. So people are like, yeah, you're just gonna put your hands on me and everything's gonna be okay. I'm gonna walk out here 100% fine. What would we say to people to kind of help clear that misconception out? What could we say to clear that up?
That's a good question. I'll kind of dive into this. This is the first thing that comes to mind is, so a lot of times we're dealing with chronic issues, and chronic issues occur over long periods of time. And that means they usually take a long period of time to unwind. So when we think about the healing process, it's typically a process of unwinding, of removing layer by layer of the things that have built up, that have created this chronic issue. I think that's what I would want to say at this time. Yeah.
I think that's a really good answer, that it's I mean, hey, you make it the one person that comes in and you work with them once, and like that is it, you've literally just like you fix them. But for it's a process. Any type of healing journey, it's a journey, it's a process. It's, you've got to pull back those layers. You know, there's not one quick fix, ta-da, we're done, cool, you're good now, you know, I'll see you again never, because you don't have to. No, I'm going to see you next week because we need to pull back the next layer. Yeah, I love that you've brought that up. I think that's so relevant. Gina, have you got anything you want to add?
Yeah, I think to echo that, the opposite of it with how many sessions do I need? I get that a lot too. How many sessions do I need to feel better? How many times, how often do you recommend me coming to see you? I get those questions a lot. And I always tell people, you'll know when it's time to do more work. It's just like any kind of self-inquiry work. You might be reflecting on something and you are able to process it and move through something rapidly, or there might be something that needs a lot of unpacking, and that's something that I don't know, and I don't have the answer for. They have the answer for that. And so that's what I tell people. I tell people that you know, trust yourself, and it got you in the door. It got you right in front of me right now at the perfect time in your life. So it will get you back here if that's what you're meant to do. And same thing with just kind of unraveling. You'll know when you're ready to peel back that other layer of your onion. You know, some people are only, you know, their capacity is just not there, and that's okay. And so that's what we do, is we just help people increase their capacity to unpack things.
I love that. 100%. That's it, you know, and it's, everybody's journey is unique. So there is no one size fits all. You know, we're not giving out a script for antibiotics. It's like, take these for 12 days and you're going to be okay. You know, maybe you need to see me once, and maybe you need to see me 10 times. We don't know. It's literally in the moment. Do you need me right now? Yeah. Yeah, because that's, I think, also it was actually one of the things I was going to say. You know, people are going to say, how many sessions do I need? You know, how often do I need to see you? What is the process look like? And there is no one size fits all. And I think that's for any holistic based modality. There is no one size fits all. You know, there's no come for 10 yoga classes or come for 5 Reiki sessions, or, you know, there isn't. You can't. So I love that you've touched on that. That's beautiful. What would you say to someone who wants to come for a Reiki session, but they're also terrified because maybe they've heard some bad things about it, or it goes against my belief system? What would you say to people like that?
I think that I would first just explain that Reiki is just universal life force energy. It is all around you all the time. It is, I don't create Reiki, it just exists. And so there's nothing, I can understand apprehensions, but there is nothing that you have not seen before. There's nothing that will occur in a session that you have probably not experienced at some point in your life, because we are all life force energy. We are all made of the exact same stuff. And so all I'm doing in a session is just channeling what's already around you. So if there was someone that had an experience that they would say was less than pleasant, then I would say that was exactly what they needed at that moment in their life. Because I don't believe, I'm of the belief that there's no such thing as a bad experience or a good experience, that it's all just what we are ready for at that moment in our journey. So even people that say, oh, well, I heard this person, they said they experienced this. Well, we don't know what that person needed in their life, and the person that's in front of me, you don't know what they needed, so it's going to be completely different. And also I tell people that same thing, that every practitioner is different. Anna's different, Suzanne's different, Tam, I know you practiced, everyone is different. And so I think that we are all it's just connecting, right? Like just connecting with people and holding space for people. And I think that's what I would say.
I think that's a beautiful answer. Anna or Suzanne, have you got anything to add to that? Anna?
Looks like Suzanne was really excited. She hasn't spoken
Okay.
for a minute, so I'm gonna let her go.
Suzanne, do you want to add?
Yeah, I'm good. I mean, I just agree with all of that. It's just, it's like Reiki can do no harm. It can't do anything bad. I mean, but how do you explain that to people that it can't? It's just like, I like that explanation. It's just all around us. I just love what she said there. That was perfect.
Anna?
Yeah, what I was gonna say, sometimes people are like, you do what? And I'm like, well, it's kind of like a massage, but you keep your clothes on, and instead I work with your energy body rather than, because we're all made of energy, we're all life force energy, as Gina spoke about. And so I was like, it's kind of like getting a massage, but an energetic massage where you feel really just relaxed. You kind of go to this in-between space between sleep and awake, and we just start releasing those energetic knots that could feel like emotional blockages, and all of a sudden your body may just feel more relaxed, just like you had a massage. So to me, one of the best ways I've found for people is to be like, if you're a little weirded out by it and you're not sure what it is, it's like a massage, but your energy body instead of your physical body.
I love that. And I've actually heard practitioners explain Reiki to people like that before, that it's an energetic massage. I'm not gonna be physically rubbing you, but energetically I'm gonna be getting in there and doing some work. I love that. I love that response. For people that they've never been for a session before, we have a number of different practitioners here on the Upstate that are available. All of you are amazingly gifted. You're all unique. How would you recommend to someone that they pick their practitioner? How would they go about doing that?
I would say that you are going to connect with who you are going to connect with. And if you try on, it's just like trying on a hat, just like trying on a piece of clothing. It is, you either love it or it's just not for you on that day. I've had plenty of clients that come in that say, well, I've experienced Reiki before, but this is not that. I don't know what this was, but this was not that. And so I tell people, I'm like, this is exactly what you needed. Again, I'll go back. This is exactly what you needed at this moment in time on this day. And another person that you experienced, that was exactly what you needed at that point in time. So if I don't resonate with you, if you come in and I am just not your cup of tea, that is okay, because you're right. There are so many of us in the Upstate. We're infiltrating the South, and I love it. And I think that, I actually have clients that have come to me and said, well, I'm interested in X, Y, and Z. And I say, I don't do that, but I know people who do. So there are also different practitioners that specialize in different things. Like I just said, I would consider myself, I might consider myself a medium and a psychic. So if someone's interested in messages and things like that, I'm for them. But like Anna said, she does energy hygiene and uses tarot and stuff like that. I don't do that in my sessions. If that's something that you're interested in, intuition development, stuff like that, then she's your girl, right? So I think that I think that I found in the Upstate healers, which I love so much, is that it is collaboration over everything. And I think that there's enough for everyone. And I think that it's so beautiful that people have such a wide variety to choose from. Like, how awesome is that we all exist here in this space? I mean, that's just in itself. So that's what I would tell people. Find someone that you click with, just like a pair of shoes. Find a pair of shoes that you like and stick with them. And then maybe they wear out and you're like, I'm not feeling these shoes anymore. And you go find another pair of shoes, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think that, I think that it just is who you're clicking with at that moment in your journey.
I love that so much, and I love the analogy of a pair of shoes. Because I mean, if someone's going to walk with you on a journey, they've got to be comfortable to walk with, right? So pick the comfortable pair of shoes. Although healing's not always supposed to be comfortable, like the uncomfortable part, like it's part of the process. So maybe having a practitioner that's going to make you feel uncomfortable is maybe what you need as well. So I love the analogy that you've used there. And then Suzanne, have you got anything that you want to add to that?
Yeah. So I want to mirror what you're saying, is that first and foremost, it's always about, well, who do you get excited when you're around? Like, what makes you excited? Go to that person first. But then secondly, I think it's about choosing someone that you can tell is doing the work for themselves, for their own journey, and that they are showing up with their own oxygen mask on first before they go and try to put on yours, making sure they have a regulated nervous system, that they're showing up, okay, they're calm, they're stable, they're responding from a heart, not reacting from their ego when they're talking to you. I think those are other signs that say, okay, yeah, I'm working on taking care of themselves, they're putting on their own oxygen master. I know they're showing up as their best self that they can for me, and helping me put on my own oxygen mask.
That's it. It's almost like picking pick your practitioner based on someone who's done the work. You know, you can see that they're reputable, not just because they got the certificate on their wall, but because they walk their talk. I love that. That's so prevalent. It really is, because anybody can become a Reiki practitioner in this day and age. You know, it takes a few weeks and you're good, and you can scale up and become a master and teach other people. But it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be good at it, or that it's something that you're meant for. So
Yeah.
I love that you've made that point. I think that's so valid.
Yeah, I want to mirror or talk about a little bit more, just saying, being a Reiki master practitioner doesn't necessarily hold the gravitas that I think it should, because someone literally can just say, okay, I sat there for 8 hours during the weekend, I'm a Reiki master. And I'm like, tell me about your own self practice. How long have you been practicing on yourself? What tools do you use? Because just having there's no standards. And which is something that's also really awesome about this field, is that there's no standard of practice, but also one of the downfalls. But I think in the long run, it's a plus, because it means there's so much wide variety for personalization. But that does mean you just get around that person, read about what their philosophy is, and go from there.
That's a beautiful response, and I think that's so important. That there is no regulation, there is no body here, but that there is still a certain standard of ethics. And I think having a look at your practitioner and the kind of ethics that they gravitate towards, and a lot of that they'll portray that in the first session that they have with you. A lot of them will list their ethics and their morals and their values and stuff on their website. So I think you have access to that stuff. And I think a lot of practitioners, they're open to just having a conversation with people beforehand and saying, you know, hey, I'd like to come and see you, but I'm nervous, I'm scared, I'm this, that. And a lot of practitioners will take 5-10 minutes out of their day and have the conversation with the person and understand where is the aversion coming from, what is the concerns, and how can we work through this, and let's see if we're a fit. And if not, I know this really great practitioner, or I know this really great modality that could be a better fit for you. Suzanne, have you got anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I do a lot of so before I meet people, I do a lot of like Zoom consultations with them, so they can get to know me a little bit and what the session will look like. And also, you know, if they have any questions about Reiki, I can explain it to them. And I let them, you know, think about it. It's like I give them things to think about. And most times they will, you know, they want to move forward. They're looking for something. And I think that's it. It's like, if they're comfortable with you, they have to be comfortable with you, because otherwise the session won't work anyway if they're not comfortable. So, you know, you have to encourage them to find somebody that they can be that way with.
Perfect. I love that. I think that that's such a valuable bit of input there. I'm gonna open the floor up to we have got two people joining us. We've got Laurie and Kanisha. I just want to see if Laurie and Kanisha have any questions for the panel. Yep.
Unmute myself. Hi. So first, thank you all for doing this. I'm very excited to hear about this. I actually am a licensed therapist, right? And part of what I do in my sessions is I do a lot of eye movement stuff, right? With a certain type of therapy. Yeah, it's really cool. And along with it, there's like this moving of sensations out. And I often wonder, or pretty positive, right? Like their energy has to go somewhere, the negative energy that they're moving out. And I feel like I'm probably absorbing it, you know? And so it's like, so what intrigues me with Reiki is that it's something that I can do with myself to kind of cleanse that and clear that out. And, you know, to use it as a form of self-care, you know, not some, you know, maybe to bring it into sessions, but really more for myself, right? And using it that way. So I guess to start with, because I've actually never done a Reiki session, I am looking at Anna, one of your workshops to, you know, to kind of start maybe there too. But are there resources or books or anything that you would recommend to kind of learn more? Or
I think that's a great question, Laurie.
thank you.
You know, we're obviously talking about Reiki a lot from the you know, clients coming to see a Reiki practitioner, but we haven't actually really touched on what if I want to be a Reiki practitioner, what resources and tools are available to me as well. Panel, anyone want to take that question on?
So anyone who works with people in the sphere of therapy, or even if you're just a grocery store clerk, if you're interacting with people on a daily basis, I think being able to manage your own energy is vital, especially if you're talking through people with some of their deepest stuff. It's very likely that we're holding on to other people's energies. I mean, how can you not? You have to feel with them, right? To be effective, I think. And so I'm trying to think on like resources outside of like my typical like workshop and the resources and books I give you there. I'm like, I don't really have any like actual books, resources. I mean, I just want to like send you energy hygiene and show you how to do these sort of things for yourself. And that in of itself, but I would say go what gets you naturally excited. Like you may want to keep like certain crystals in your space, like black tourmaline is like a sponge for negative energy. So you could keep that in your space while you're working with people. And then you could use something like selenite. Selenite is known as the master cleanser, meaning it never has to be cleansed, but it cleanses spaces, it cleanses people, it cleanses objects. And so this could be something that and let me show you. So like here's a big selenite tower. Some people, if this makes you excited, you could like imagine yourself giving yourself like a little energy bath wherever you might feel it, or be like, okay, you could just hold it within a meditation and be like, okay, my intention is now to release any energy that is not mine from this person's, and just go and let it absorb into the crystal. Like there's really no wrong way to do things. It's like, does it feel right for you? Then you're doing it right. But for you, I think it's more about like, okay, just getting you some inspiration to be like, what would feel good? Do I need to turn on a fun song and just like shake it out after a session? Do I just need to go breathe it out? Do I need intentional statements to help me? Do I want to work with tools like crystals or sacred smoke? Like there are so many things, books, that sort of thing. I don't know, but there's a few ideas for you.
I love that. Thanks. And then I love that you say, hey, books, I don't know. Tools, yeah, I can give you some tools. Gina and Suzanne, have you got anything to add to that?
That's one of the things about Reiki, I think, because it is such an old practice, because it is something that's been around for so long, it was a protected, I will say, Reiki in itself, usually Reiki specifically, they consider it to be a sacred practice. And so there's a lot of mysticism to it because some of it is kept secret, meaning the symbols and things that are used are kept secret unless you go to learn it. So I think that that's kind of where that comes in. And so reading about Reiki or reading about the practice of how it's done, the only time I think you're going to get that is if you were to go through a training, is just because this, again, the symbols are sacred. And I think it's important to that that tradition of that specific modality of Reiki, to keep it sacred. So I don't know how many books that you would find on Reiki, which is, I guess, a good thing and a bad thing. I don't know, like that. That's a great question. And yeah, that's a great question. I'm sorry I can't be more helpful.
So I agree. Yeah, Gina. Yeah, there's so much that is kept secret. And honestly, reading about Reiki intellectually does not teach someone how to do Reiki for themselves. So reading books is not going to be a huge help here. But I will say, when I had gone through my Reiki training and I'm like, I want to know everything, I did find this book called Reiki Healing. Can't say it's like, oh yeah, I definitely recommend this. I'm just saying I have it. And they do like show you different like hand positions and things like that. And I believe they actually show you the symbols in the book, but I am not going to show it to you. Just know that it is in there, but I can't, but you know, it's public knowledge, that book's out there. But because we're saying it is mysticism, you know, a mystic, it is usually sacred to keep that secret. Those, not everyone respects that. There are books out there who offer that, but I don't recommend the intellectualizing of it. It's more about experiencing it. So for you, it's more about, if you want to learn Reiki as a self tool to manage your own energy, awesome. If not, maybe like it's like crystals or smoke or breathing or shaking, intentional statements, those sort of things. So hopefully that helps answer your question.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it.
Have you got any other questions, Laurie?
No, I think that's it for now. I do appreciate it. You know, we'll schedule something soon with someone.
All right, perfect. Kanisha, if you have any questions for us?
No, currently I don't. Thank you so much for your informational session. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. All right, so then panel, is there any last things that you feel we haven't touched on that you feel are really important for people to know about the practice of Reiki? Things that could put their mind at ease? Anything you want to finish up with? No? Gina?
I would say, if you have not experienced Reiki, if it is something that you are interested in, but you don't know where to start with a session. Start with experiencing it yourself so that you can start with it, feeling the effects of Reiki, and then figure out whether or not it's something you want to add into your life. Or like Anna said, there's so many different ways to practice energy clearing. I mean, that's essentially what we're doing, is we're harnessing the energy that's already around us and we're clearing it and we're moving it. I like to think that yoga is also a form of moving energy. Breath work practices are also a form of moving energy, moving and clearing energy. There's so many different modalities, and not everyone is going to resonate maybe with Reiki in general, but I can speak to Reiki and say that for me, it was life-changing. For me, it was something that I love to have in my tool belt. But I think that if you're on the fence on whether or not it's for you or not for you, try it out and, you know, have an experience and see for yourself, just like any other practice, just like any other experience you have, you know, like the roller coaster, like go get on the roller coaster, see if it's for you. You might get off and you might be like, I was not ready for that. And that's okay. You know, you go back in like, 6 months and you try it again and see if it's for you. I don't know. Like it is an experience. You will for sure have an experience. I can tell you that. What it will be is entirely up to you.
Beautiful. I love that. Thanks, Gina. Anything, Suzanne or Anna, that you'd like to add before we close? No? Okay. Panelists, I'm going to give you each a couple of minutes just to let people know how they can get in touch with you if they do want to book a session. Laurie's very keen to chat to someone. So if each of you could just tell everyone your socials, your website, how they can book a session, what that looks like. Gina, I'll start with you.
Yeah, you can find me everywhere at Quantum Wellness Co. So quantumwellnessco.com, quantumwellnessco@gmail.com. All of these places you'll find me. I am most present on Instagram. I love to share my story, my experiences, insights, anything that I can do to connect with people via social media and email. Yeah, Quantum Wellness Co. That's me.
Thank you. Anna, how can we find you?
So my website's going to have all of my social links on there, and that website is crystalandclover.love. And I actually put that in the chat. It's written down. I accidentally left the E off of love, so it looks like love. But crystalandclover.love. And I'm most active on Instagram. It's just at crystal.and.clover. But again, that's on my website and on the Upstate Healers. We've been tagged there, so that's a great way to find there. Thank you.
Thanks, Anna. Suzanne.
So my website is forbalancedpaws.com. You can, the email is forbalancedpaws@gmail.com. And we're on Instagram and Facebook, so you can find us there.
Perfect. Susanna, I love your business name, by the way, For Balanced Paws. It's adorable. It just expresses exactly what you do. Panel, thank you so much for joining me this evening. The three of you have been amazing. I think we have unpacked the modality of Reiki really well. I think that people that have never heard of it before, that are new to it, that are skeptical, I think we can probably put some minds at ease. This video will be shared on our different platforms and stuff. So I thank you, each and every one of you, so much for joining me and for bringing your beautiful gifts and your wisdom to the panel this evening. Thank you so much.